Good morning everyone, welcome to another YouTube video. Today I'm just heading over the Cannock Chase area just to see what I can catch. Kids are off at school today, so I've managed to get a nice early start. It's about 5:30 in the morning. Sun's starting to poke through quite nicely over there. I've stopped here because I've just as I was driving on the Tixall road, I just spotted what might be quite a nice scene along the canal. There's mist rising off the canal. I've spotted a heron knocking around there somewhere, so I'm just going to head over there now and see if I can get some images of him. I've never done this route before, so I don't really know how tolerant they are of people, but hopefully I'll be able to get some nice shots. Well, unfortunately the heron's bolted. There was a car crossing a nearby bridge which sounded its horn quite loudly, so that's spooked him and he's flown off. But I'm just going to have a little bit of a walk up and down this part of the canal here just to see if I can find anything, and also because it's a gorgeous morning and it's looking really nice. Hopefully I might see some wildlife to photograph today, but let's go and take a look. So now this is the sort of light I'm looking for. You've got the mist coming up off of the canal, the sun's just starting to peek through. It would be absolutely fantastic if I had a bird land just about there. That would make a fantastic shot. As I was walking up, I did get what I think is a song thrush just sitting on a wall, but it was just a basic shot. There wasn't any fantastic lighting on there or anything. So I'm just going to carry on up here a little bit more and see if I can find anything to photograph. Well, what seems to be a common theme at the moment, there doesn't seem to be an awful lot about, certainly not where I want it to be for the images, but I'm going to go take a walk back up that way, see what I can find, because the light is absolutely fantastic up there, and hopefully I can get some nice images. We'll just have to wait and see what's about. Well, that was a little bit disappointing. There wasn't much to be seen down there. The nice light faded really quickly as well, and I lost the mist and that. So I'm going to move on over to another area now. I'm going to head up to Brockton, where I'm pretty sure there's going to be some deer up there. So I'll see what I can catch up there and just have a little walk around that area, see if there's anything else around. Okay, so I've moved on to the Brockton area of Cannock Chase. There's quite a high fallow deer population around here, so you're usually guaranteed to see at least one. There's other things you can spot as well, so I'm going to just take a little drive up and down Chase Road and see if there's anything that pops up that's worth getting some images of. If you are driving up and down this sort of area, you do need to be quite careful, because quite often the deer can bolt straight in front of your vehicle onto the road. I mean, in this area there is an awful lot of deer hit by cars, so you just need to really go slowly and pay attention to your surroundings. If you are new to wildlife photography, or you do want to give it a go, this is it's probably a good area to try, because a lot of the wildlife here, it's quite tolerant of people. There's a lot of free traffic here and there. Oh, that might make a nice shot actually. Yeah, that was quite a lucky one. I just spotted a crow just sitting on a bridle path sign. Nothing spectacular, just thought it might make quite a nice image. I'll post it up and see what you think. The only sort of downside to this place is it is a fairly heavily trafficked area for where it is. I mean, it's only about 7 o'clock in the morning now, and there's already been quite a lot of cars up and down here. I can see quite a few dog walkers out as well. That has its benefits and disadvantages. I mean, one of the benefits is it does make the wildlife a bit more tolerant to people, so it can allow you to get a little bit closer sometimes. But on the other hand as well, I've lost count of how many times I've set up a shot, waited patiently for the subject, and then somebody comes along being a little bit too noisy and scares it off. But if you want to do wildlife photography in this sort of area, that's the price you're going to pay. I've just spotted a few rabbits up and down here, so I'm just going to pull in and see if I can get any rabbit images. Yeah, as is often the case, unfortunately they were spooked by a couple of passing cars, so moving on. Let's see what else we can find. I've just stopped off at a little parking spot not far from Camp Hill Road. It's an area I haven't really covered very much, so I'm going to just take a little walk around here and see if I can find anything to shoot. Okay, so I just started out from the parking spot. It looks really nice around here. There's a lot of vegetation, a lot of long grass, which hopefully will give me the chance to get some of the shots that I want. You can hear bird song, the sun's shining. It's a great day for a walk out in the woods. Hopefully we'll get some images from today, but now I'm just going to go and see what I can find. I mean, look at that. Good day to be out in nature. Alright, before I get too far, I'm just going to give you an example of how I get my camera set for any given situation. Bear in mind, this is just how I do it. This is the method I found works for me. Might be worth giving it a try, see how you do with it. These settings as well, it's going to be for a handheld situation. If you're using a tripod or some other sort of brace, you can usually lower the settings towards the lower end of the scale. So what I'll do first is I always choose what aperture I want to shoot at, and generally that's going to be anywhere between f5.6 and f8, because I do like to shoot fairly wide open, or as close to, because as you can see from that, it gives nice separation from the subject. And if you add on a super zoom lens, the compression does add to that effect as well. So I've set myself at f7.1. Next thing I'm going to want to set is my shutter speed. So I'm hopefully expecting some fast action, so I'm going to set my shutter speed anything over, what, 1/500. So I'm going to go up to, let's see, I'll start off with 1/800. That should hopefully freeze a lot of stuff unless it's birds in flight. I'll then use auto ISO, which will tell me the ISO I want is 320. Then I will go back into ISO and manually dial it up to what it thinks. Now for me, that image is a little bit too overexposed. So in that situation, you can do one of two things. You can up the shutter speed, which will darken the image, or what I would prefer to do, if possible, is drop the ISO, because that would produce a cleaner image. Then, once you've got those settings on there, what you can do then is you can control your exposure just by going down or up with the shutter speed, or down or up with the ISO. And again, I always prefer to use the shutter speed to adjust it if I can, and keep the ISO as low as possible. If you are just starting out though, and you're just moving to manual for the first time, it isn't a bad idea to leave it on auto ISO. It's just I've been in quite a few situations where when you've got your focus point somewhere else, it produces an image which is either overexposed or underexposed, particularly if you're using spot metering. So that's why I prefer to use the auto ISO to get a baseline reading and then adjust it manually afterwards. I find it gives a bit more creative flexibility in the images. But like I say, if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, auto ISO is a useful tool to use. I mean, just because a lot of people say use manual as well, you shouldn't be afraid to explore some of the other modes on your camera. Even in automatic, the camera does a relatively good job of getting a good clean exposed image. It's just when you want to become a bit more creative or do something different with your images, then move on and start exploring manual modes, because it does give you a lot more creative freedom. I've just made a quick stop off here because there's a rather vocal little wren that seems to be favouring the tree just over there. So I've set myself up down here to see if I can catch any images of him. Because we've moved into a darkened wood, I'm going to have to adjust my camera settings again, so I'm dropping back to auto ISO just to get a reading, and then I'll be changing my settings to shoot. One of the things about when you're shooting in the woods is the light is filtered quite a bit by the trees, so you will have to either drop your shutter speed or up your ISO to compensate. Stop singing there, so I think I might have spooked him a bit by doing this little video, but I'm just going to wait here and see if he comes back. That wasn't too bad. I got some quite nice images of the wren. The light isn't quite what I want here, so I'm going to move on a little bit further down, see if I can get something a little bit closer to the image I'm looking for. Actually, I think I can hear the wren shouting again a little bit down there, so I'm going to move a bit further down this trail where the sunlight's coming through and see if I can get a nicer image. Alright, just from walking a bit further up the track, I've spotted what looks like an animal trail leading off into the woods, so I'm just going to follow that and see if there's anything worthwhile up there. If you're out looking for wildlife, sometimes it's worth checking for signs like that because they can lead to something good, but let's go explore and find out. One thing though, if you do go walking off trail in areas like this, so you've got to be respectful of the environment and the animals around you. I mean, this is their home. It's not something to just traipse through willy-nilly, so always tread carefully. And also as well, if you are over the chase, be aware there are adders over here as well, which they're not usually fatal to an adult, but it can still give you a nasty bite. So whenever you're walking over here, always watch where your feet are going as well. Try not to step on anything. Well, one of the things you do find with wildlife photography is, unless you've got a spot that you know is worthwhile, you spend an awful lot of time walking around trying to find stuff to get. But gotta say, there's worse places to walk. I mean, one of the things for me is, I've said it before in previous videos, but even if I don't get a great deal photographic wise, it's still great to come out into the wild and recharge your batteries a little bit. Oh, hold up, I can hear something down there now. Let's see if I can catch anything. Well, apart from a couple of shots of a wren, which I think are half decent, I didn't get a whole lot from that walk in the woods there. Nice walk though, and so I might check that area out again another time. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to head down to a place called Womere Pool, which is just off Chase Road. Usually it's quite a good spot for insects, so I'm going to try and get some macro shots down there. There we are, this is Womere Pool. As you can see, absolutely gorgeous spot. This has turned into quite an interesting little session here on Womere Pool. There certainly are a hell of a lot of dragonflies about. There's damselflies, there's loads of butterflies around, so there's plenty for me to choose from. What I'm trying to do, probably slightly sadistically, is catch some dragonflies in flight using the Sigma with the macro extension tubes on. I'm having to do it all manual focus, so let's just say it's not the easiest of things, but hopefully I've got some nice shots out of it. They certainly look good on the back of the camera. It just depends how sharp they are when I get them home on the computer. But yeah, so far this place is not disappointing for insects. Well, that was a good little session with the dragonflies. Gotta say, it wasn't easy trying to manually focus on a dragonfly in flight. But looking at the back of the camera, hopefully I've got at least a few a decent workable shots. So I'm going to call it quits on that one now, because I've spent quite a bit of time just trying to get one image. That's how it goes though sometimes with wildlife, but I'm going to call it quits here and maybe move on to somewhere else. Right, just come back to the car now, put the aircon on just to cool down a bit because it is warming up quite nicely. I think I might make one final stop before heading home. I'm just going to head down to Brockton way and see if I can see any of the local fallow deer. That might round it off quite nicely. Weather like this, though, they've got more sense than to be out in the open like we do. They'll probably be seeking some shelter under some trees, so hopefully I might get some nice dappled light shots. We'll see that, huh? Well, on the drive down I didn't see any deers. That's not really surprising though. Usually when the weather's like this they do tend to seek the shade in the deeper woods, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and have a little walk around in the woods and see what I can find. I've just spotted my first fallow deer just over in the clearing over there, but unfortunately she spotted me quite quickly and was off through the woods. Although the animals here are a little bit more used to people being around, it's still worth remembering that they are wild animals and they will act accordingly. So you need to show them the proper respect. Okay, so I haven't really spotted many deers yet, but I have come across this nice little wild meadow here with quite a few butterflies and other insects in there. So I'm going to pause the search for the deer to try and get some more macro shots, and then after that I'll probably just head up to one more place where I think there certainly might be, and then head for home. But let's get the macro out and see what we can get. Probably not a great time to try macro because the sun's up, it's very warm, so insects are going to be at the most active. Usually a good time to catch them is just after dawn, because most of them are cold-blooded and they tend to get more active as the day warms up. But I'm going to give it a try, see what I can get. Well, unfortunately that was kind of like what I thought. They are a bit too active at this time of day to get any decent shots. I've got a couple of a cinnabar moth that might turn out okay, but I'll post those up and see what you think. Right, moving on to last stop now, see if I can get anything there. Alright, I've just stopped off here for a minute because I can hear some movement in those bushes over there. I'm really not sure what it is, but it sounds large enough to potentially be a deer. So I'm just going to hold on here for a few minutes and see if anything happens. Yeah, unbelievable. Spend ages looking around for one, and there's one just as I get back to the car. She's clearly not bothered by my presence, and she's quite happily sitting there scratching her arse. Alright, let's see if I can get some stills of this. Well, that was pretty lucky. Traipsed the whole chase and then came back to the car and found one sitting and feeding not 10 feet away. So had a nice little session with her. Hopefully got some nice backlit shots. We'll see how they look when I get them on the computer, but I'm sure I've got at least one that I'm pleased with out of that. Hope, you know, it's not been a bad day today. Done a hell of a lot of walking, covered a lot of ground, but I've got a few good images which I think I'll be happy with, so bonus. Alright, I'm going to call it a day now and head for home. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.